Setting up. Okay. We're on YouTube. Let's go here. Let's go. You want me to put it on your Teresa Communications?
Yeah, put on Teresa Communicate.
Who can see posts? It's letting me do it on here. Everybody. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're on. We're on live. Live. Welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I was smart this time. We went right through YouTube. So click on the YouTube channel, the YouTube link that's on the Facebook page, and you'll be able to see us live. So welcome. This is going to be an extraordinary show because we have the renowned, and I believe she's renowned because she has done this for many, many years with her wisdom and just shares accurate information that actually surprises people with her details to how she information that she knows about that nobody else knows about, only Teresa when she's reading somebody. So we're so honored and privileged to have Teresa St. Francis, my dear friend, on the show so that we can talk about in the moments. Teresa and I have a little podcast that we're starting to work on. So we'll share that once it's finalized, but I'm letting you know that we're going to start a podcast talking about in the moment and talking about really information, but we're not going to do too much homework on it because we're going to go live like we are today, and we're just going to rattle off what comes through our brains, which Teresa and I could talk for hours and hours and hours. Teresa, let me share a little, is a special edition with renowned, intuitive, angelic reader, Teresa St. Francis, and she does pets. So she shares information about pets that have moved on. I know that she's done many, many pet shows where she actually tells families about their pets that are on the side, because pets are part of our family. So it's really important to know that they're peaceful and that they're watching over us and they're eating their bones on the other side. So and that's only dogs that I know she's done. What other animals have you done, Teresa?
Oh my God, I've done so many. I've done zebras, I've done camels, I've done llamas, I do cows, horses, kittens, cats, ferrets, rabbits. I walk out into the parks and I'll talk to the deer. They won't run from me. I actually had a recent experience where I was going through some personal stuff, and deer are my part of my totem. So I also talked to live as well as passed over. So I came home and it was literally late at night, like 2 o'clock in the morning. And there in my driveway was a buck, a
Wow.
6-point buck, standing in my parking spot in the driveway. He let me pull up into the next parking spot in the driveway, which was vacant. He let me get out of the car, and I have photos of this. We were just probably 4 feet away from each other. And he stood there talking to me for a good 20 minutes.
Oh my God. And what did
So
it say?
he
What
said,
did the buck say?
well, it was more of a spiritual sign. He was sent from the other side to talk to me about how I should settle down, how to stop worrying, that the universe is working in my behalf, and that they feel what I'm going through, and he was sent to as a sign to calm me down for confirmation and just to share unconditional love. You know, our animals are truly unconditional. They don't care if we've had a bad day. They don't care if they've had a bad day. When they meet us, when we at the door or when we walk into our environment, they want to be with us and share that love, that licking, give me a belly rub, that peaceful, joyful energy. And I truly believe that the divine, whatever you believe the divine to be, created animals as a way of teaching humans how to
Mm,
love, how to be compassionate, and how to heal. Because with their energy, we can do that.
I mean, I know we spoke about wanting to go, and we're going to go together to a horse farm,
Right.
right? So we could, because I'm always looking to heal myself and re-energize myself, and we got to find ways. And I really know that horses do heal, and they're very intuitive, right?
Correct. Horses do heal. Dogs do heal. A lot of the prisons around the country are now incorporating animals in an animal program for prisoners who have emotional issues, who have anger issues. It's a way of sharing that energy and understanding how to become calm, how to become relaxed, how their energy, our energy, interacts and affects other people. I think we talked about this just before we went live, how to be in the moment, how to balance. I think we as a society have gotten so off track with just being in the moment and enjoying where we're at because of all the influences in our society. You know, when I do a reading and I connect to the other side and the loved ones step forward, or your angels step forward, or your animals step forward, they come in love and it's so beautiful and it's so relaxing. We don't have that on this planet.
Mm. Well,
We,
you
it's
and I have spoken about before that there's no walls around you. There's no barriers anymore. We're all over the place, right? Right?
Exactly. And that's also why Spirit's been stepping forward in a more interactive way with signs, with communication, with putting people in our lives because we have forgotten that there needs to be downtime. We cannot continue to be bombarded with social media, news, events, energy, climate energy, Mother Nature energy, cosmic energy. And then also, let's also look about Mother Earth being in an unbalanced way. I don't know if some of our readers, listeners, have read the article from the Smithsonian that confirmed what I've been saying for years, that the polar north has changed and moved into Greenland.
Mm, mm,
That also is indicative of all the planes that have been falling out of the sky. And the problem with Newark that they're not telling you in the airport is the reason they can't adjust all of the technology because it's so old. They have to recalibrate the north, south, east, and west because of the polar shift and because of the magnetic shift.
mm.
I'm
That's
very sensitive to energy and I can feel all that. It's why days I'm not having such a good day and days that are okay.
And
But
I love today. You just got up and you came online and you said, "This is me."
this is me today. Because be
But
real.
but you know what, that ties right into our show we had before. I know you were watching it. That Ashley and Celeste were talking about in the moment and really enjoying life and life as a gift. And I didn't know this before, when I was putting everybody on, and Ginny and I were putting everybody on, but that Camino walk that Celeste took, and she shared that it's not the walk, it's your Camino starts after the walk. And we're all on a journey, we're all living what we should live. And you and I are really doing this show today about living in the moment, in the moment, stay in the moment. You were talking about prior that we don't take time to rest anymore. I'm trying to revel. That's my new word. Urgency was my first word. Revel is my second word. Revel in each experience, in each moment. Oh, that's a beautiful cup. Look, hold our cups up. Hold our cups up. Nope, nope. That's it.
I made this. I love to go to ceramics, so I'm always making mugs and cups so that when I'm in the moment, and this is a homage to my aunt. Can you see that?
No, put it on the other side. I don't know why. Yeah, right there.
Do you
Uh,
see that? Can you see that?
a little bit, a little bit.
No, we gotta go this way. Ah,
Oh,
there
there.
we go.
Hold it. That's wonderful.
That's
Adore
my
these.
homage to my aunt became my mom and when I was growing up because I grew up in a very dysfunctional family. So my aunt and I would have this 0x0x, which is hugs and kisses. So I always put that on a mug. Somewhere on one of my mugs is always OX. It's my way of always being reminded, don't forget to love not
Yeah.
only everybody else but myself. So the words I've been getting as we go through this trying to be in the moment is stay in your lane. I think all too often people try to get out of their lane and get into somebody else's lane,
Mm, mm.
whether it's trying to emulate somebody else or looking at somebody else as having more than, or we watch a lot of reality TV and people, even in their readings, Spirit will say, you know what, look at what you have. Don't try to emulate somebody else. And when I'm also an author of a book, a suicide prevention book. And in the book, I also talk about don't look at other people's lives as they're better than yours because people always want to show you better than what's really going on. Nobody
Right.
will ever show you what's really going on because they never want to explain themselves. They always want to be better than and replicate what society thinks it should be. And that's what this reality TV has also caused a lot of depression, anxiety, fear, and a lot of these teenagers look at the post that they're having a better life than I am. Even adults do that, by the way.
Yeah.
And in
It's
reality,
that.
and I said this in a reading the other day, and I want to replicate it. Life is hard.
Yeah,
And this facade of society thinking it's easy, and the social media and the way people handle themselves is and the money that is thrown around in a lot of these reality TV shows is everybody's living the high life and having it great. That's not true.
yeah. And the truth is, even with that money that they have, that still doesn't make their life easy, and it still doesn't um heal people, and it still doesn't make somebody not have challenges in their lives. All that money does not buy happiness, does not buy joy, does not buy unconditional love. But what I keep going back to is like all those things that you're saying, Teresa, is to revel in the moment. When you find one single thing that within your day that, like, for instance, you and I here today, like enjoying each other, share, we love to do this, right? We love to hang out and talk, and we're doing it live, which is a joy as well. And we both have our love coffee mugs. We're reveling in this moment because our lives on the back end are not perfect. They're not perfect, and they have those challenges.
I agree with you. And unfortunately, the balance also has to be spiritual and human, and to find that inner divine connection, to connect with your soul, to connect with your angels. I do a lot of I hate to say life coaching, but helping people get into a better place through the reading to connect with not just their loved ones, but angels, but with themselves. I think there's a big disconnect with people today because of the pressures we live under. And also, all right, stop yelling at me. Spirit wants me to say, don't forget the pressures of TV, of radio, of the social media, and we're constantly bombarded with information. Like last night, what happened in Iran is going to affect a lot of people emotionally, psychologically, physically, and Spirit wants me to kind of say to everybody, because we get so much information in the moment live. Our grandparents, our great grandparents went through World War I, World War II. They survived it better than we will.
Mm,
because they got information in a lag, whether it was days or weeks. So there didn't need for them to react to it. They can still continue their lives.
right.
With all this technology that we have, everything is live in the moment that causes great intrepidation and anxiety because then
Mm,
you don't know what the next step is. Our grandparents and great grandparents got stuff delayed. So by the time they heard that something had happened, days had come by and the fallout was able to also be discussed. So there was a sense of, all right, it happened, but this is what happened afterwards. So I'm okay. Right now, we don't have the afterwards. We're living in the afterwards. And
right.
then afterwards causes a lot of problems. So that's why I also encourage people, and I do it myself, is to turn the news off, to turn the media off. I love to step away from my cell phone, and a lot of people and friends yell at me because I go into this zone of I just like being in the moment. I'll sit outside. I did that yesterday in nature. I'll go swimming. I'll do things that allow me just to be with me. And
Mm,
then my phone gets blown up.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's because, with a lot of phone calls and text messages, are you okay? We're worried about you, so
I think everybody's worried about everybody, and that's a good thing. But don't forget to take a moment for yourself.
yeah. Yeah.
You and I had talked about taking extra time for rest. I'm doing that as well. It's been a very challenging year for me. There's been a lot going on, but I think it's been a lot going on for everybody.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's been a very difficult
Yeah.
year so far already. And we need to take and I'm going to give you the permission to take that time and rest. I think people need to hear that.
Well,
People,
let's give them hints about what we're doing to slowly and make a difference in our lives. We're not like putting leaving everything behind and going over here. We're doing it very slowly. And one of the things that I'm doing, which I shared with Teresa, is I used to get up at 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and because that's when my eyes open up, right? And I used to pop out of bed. Now I'm giving myself the permission to go back to sleep because all the studies, and I don't have any of the facts in front of me, but all the studies say that if you're rested and you with sleep and you get enough sleep, that you will be balanced, like you were talking about before, and you'll be more focused and you'll be more in tune with things. And it really has been working for me. That 1 extra or 2 extra hours, because when you wake up at 4, it's different than waking up at 6. And when I get up, I lay there and I give myself the time um, to acknowledge and to give gratitude for the day and to breathe, because the days are going to be crazy. Now that doesn't change the way my days flow. I mean, my days, that doesn't change what's going to happen in my life, but it does change how I am going to handle it, and the peaceful, calm nature that I'm bringing to my day. So that's one of the things that I've been doing for the last, I would say, 3 or 4 months, because life was a little bit crazy for me, especially with the unconditional love concert. Thank you for coming, Teresa. I was tired when I got done, so I gave myself the permission to sleep and if you need to go to work in the morning, then go to bed earlier. There's ways that you could handle it, but sleeping is really important in healing and in life.
well, that's the only way your body, mind, and soul heals is when you're resting, when you're sleeping, when your mind has slowed down and your biorhythms slow down
Mm,
so that your cells, your organs can work properly. The cells that need to rejuvenate and regenerate do. It's a complex process, our body, as well as our mind and soul. And there has to be a connection amongst all three. For me, I've decided to take the baby steps of not being so reactionary in the
mm,
sense of constantly always being on alert, being ready to handle whatever comes down the pike. I've had a lot of things go on in my life this last year that caused immediate reaction, immediate attention. A lot of that has come to conclusion. So I am taking a step out myself and not just resting, but trying to find things that make me happy. So it's a new journey for me.
Mm.
Um,
But the
as
baby steps,
it's
baby
baby
steps.
steps. I tell everybody baby steps. Put your baby boots on and take your baby steps. And I also tell people, and I'm taking my own advice. Try anything that comes as an opportunity. If you don't like it, you can always leave. Nobody says you're married to anything, but if you like it, pursue it. It is baby steps. It's the opportunity for us to change our lives. And a few things are happening in the cosmos right now. Um, Certain planets have come
What are the
to,
cosmos? Explain to our audience. What are the
oh,
cosmos?
I
Because I think we're speaking our language, but we have other people watching. So what are the cosmos?
cosmos are the planets that surround the Earth. And the cosmos, those planets move and they shift and they change. They change not only direction on how they move, they also change direction in the pivotal point of how each planet interacts with each other. So might have heard the term, if you're into astrology, a square or a triangle. That is important in the way the energy flows between planets. So there has been a planet, and I don't know, I don't actually remember because I don't have it in front of me, that came to like a 30-year conclusion recently. So for the past 30 years, we've been doing things. Now, these next couple of months, since the planet has come to its conclusion or beginning and starting point, now we're going to see the karma from all that. So that karma, which means you're going to see the results of it, good, bad, or indifferent. So now it's going to be the opportunity to change. Do I learn something from that? And if I've learned it, I gain wisdom and knowledge and I move forth in a little bit easier way because I know how to use it correctly. Or do I have to revisit it again because I haven't learned my lesson?
Hmm.
With that being said, all of us are going to have an opportunity for new insights, new changes, some good, some not so good. But that's life. That's the only way you learn is by having those opportunities of good and not so good. So to incorporate a balanced life. And
Yeah.
it's hard. It really is hard. Even spirit's feeling the effect because there is no veil anymore. Spirit steps in. The amount of signs that I get, I've been getting dimes and quarters, and what's funny, I've been getting nickels. I haven't seen nickels in years. All of a sudden, I see a nickel all over the place. I saw a nickel when I got in my car yesterday. I walked up my stairs. There were two nickels. So somebody's trying to tell me the number five is important for some reason.
And share with everybody, like, for their own personal journey, if they should see things repetitive. Um, how could they know what they're trying to be told?
Okay, great question. Repetitive
Thank you.
things or numbers. So if you see 111, it's unity. 222, it's unity. It's bringing in positive energy. The universe is aligning with you. They're trying to send you a message. The message can be something as simple as, we were walking with you. Know that we're here. If you're getting a message that is extremely personal to you, and it correlates with the loved one. Like, for example, I know there are people who equate a cardinal, and cardinal is a very big spiritual sign, to somebody specific in spirit. So if you equate a cardinal to somebody specific in spirit, know that they're trying to send you a message. And most of the time, the messages are relatively simple. I love you. I'm watching you. And know that you're not alone. And that's a very big message.
Yeah, the people probably overlook because it's almost like that I love you. You know, people use it like a simple thing they say, and they lose the meaning behind it, honestly. They lose the intention behind it. When you say I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, like it kind of like, I don't know. I want, when somebody's going to tell me they love me, I want it to be from their heart, not just a phrase that they share. What do you think?
It's funny you should bring that up. I talk to Spirit about this all the time. We have this dialogue in the morning. Once I'm done with meditation, then I have actually dialogue. They talk a lot when I'm in the shower. They talk a lot when I'm driving. And the dialogue with me, with them, a lot of the times is we as Americans, we in the English language have one word for love. And love, this word for love, LOVE, encompasses everything from your love for your husband, your love for your child, your love for your parent, your love for your animal, the love of your life. It's the same word.
Right.
All other languages have different words and verbiage for different situations of love. So in the Italian language, a love for your parent is a different word and phrase than the love for your partner or your love for a extended family member, an aunt or an uncle, or a grandmother. So the different levels of love are denoted in the verbiage and in the language. We here do not have that. And I think that's also why, as you said, sometimes love gets diluted. It gets taken for granted because it's used so often and it represents all the different types of love. And that's why I think sometimes we get a little muted when we hear it because we don't hear it. We don't stop and take that in because we hear it all too often.
You know what else? You know what else, Teresa? And my kids will say this, and everybody will say this, that I'm not one to say I love you. I'm not. I'm not. However, I know I'm going to ask you, do I show you I love you?
Yes.
Right? So my actions speak much louder than that word that people are just like rambling off for nothing and not living by loving. You know what I'm saying? They're saying they love you, but they're mistreating you. They're saying they love you, but they're ignoring you. They're saying, you know what I'm saying? So that bothers me. It bothers me that people that people use the word but don't live by it, aren't authentic to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because there's the other side of us, which I was going to follow through, is we use it all too often. And because love also whitewashes bad behavior.
Yes, yes, yes. And they
So,
and but because if you're saying you love me, then show me you love me. Show me. I'd rather you show me you love me than say it 20 million times. You could say it when it's meaningful and I need to hear it and or I'll say it if you need to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not against saying it, and I say it to my, especially my grandchildren, because they say it to me. They're pure. They're not um have any intentions around it, and I need to show them, I need to say it to them. But to others, I want to make sure that they understand that my actions are much more loud than my words. That's how I try to
I,
function and operate.
I agree with you. And I love there are families who have substituted the word love for another enneagram or another word so that it does have a meaning. Like I showed you the X and the O's. That was my aunt's way of saying I love you in a different form.
Right.
That in many families is much more powerful. So if you have a family dynamic where love is thrown around all the time, it gets whitewashed. It
Right.
doesn't have the impact that it would if it was said once versus 30 times.
Right, right. I mean, with my children, my two girls, I think I'm just thinking about this now. I think my words to them are, I always call them my beauties. Always have called them my beauties. Always. They're
That's
my
your love.
beauties.
That's your
Yeah,
love
yeah,
to them.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting conversation. That's a very interesting conversation because I never thought about it like that. But I always, call them my beauties. My beauties, what are we doing tonight? My beauties, what are, we have anything to do on this date? My beauties, like I always call them my beauties.
That's your love language to them.
Yeah,
That's your way of saying I love you without saying I love you because again, the word in the English language is used multi-purpose, and it loses its dimension, it loses its impact, it loses its importance because we throw it around so frequently.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they throw it around when I hear it, and when I hear it, and it's not intent, and then follow up with something, or they've done something that is not nice, and then they just I'm like, and I just look like like my strange face, like
Yeah. And then, guys don't like using the term love. It seems to be a testosterone thing, but as they get older, I've noticed in my readings, especially from spirit, when they pass over, before they have passed, there are a lot of men who do signs. Like I had one grandson on in the reading, and he's like, I said to him, your grandfather's here, and he's giving me this sign, like a salute, like this. And I said to him, I kind of feel like he's sending you love through that way. And the guy almost fell off the chair. He said to me, that was our way of signaling to each other that we loved each other.
hmm, hmm.
So it can be a signal too. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be a word. It doesn't, but those types, those memories, those encapsulate the beauty of a relationship. And it also allows us to have very special memories.
yeah.
That's the amount of detail, not only reading, but we also have, in my book, I talk about diversity of families and the survivorship and what happens when you pass over and those loved ones came back to tell us what they've learned and what happened before they took their lives, what happened during taking their lives. And one of the things that really impressed me the most in the a continual string of, it was a theme of them not feeling connected, them not feeling loved. We live in such a fast-paced life, and society wants to generate that fast pace, because if we have broken families, then we can be controlled by whatever masses that is, whether it's society, whether it's a school district, whether it's religion. The more they can keep the individuals and families spinning out of control, running after baseball games or soccer games, or to religious retreats, or going to church every night, or the more they can keep you preoccupied, the less time you have to think for yourself and to be in the quiet, so your angels can connect with you, your loved ones can connect with you, and you can have a conversation in love and righteousness.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's something I really wanted to, spirit wanted to impart in this conversation was, don't run after things that you think you have to do. Spend the time being with authentically who you are and what you want to do. Don't meet somebody else's expectations.
Well, that's funny because I used to all the time, you know, you know, get attracted to somebody, and he would, and I'd do anything for him, rather than meeting in the middle, rather than that balance, rather than, letting him show me that he loved me, let him show me, and it's not their fault. It's my fault. It was my work I needed to do to love myself enough um, to, love myself enough that if they're meant to happen, they'll come in, and then it's back and forth. But I never did that, Teresa. Up until a few years ago, I always was chasing, 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 chasing. How do I get the guy? And I'm like, no, it's not me anymore. I'm not doing it, because I finally believe that I'm worthy, worthy. And we spoke about this, not on the male aspect of it, but we spoke about it, believing in our careers, believing in our families, it just to that we're worthy of all the goodness that should come. I never really believed that until a few years ago, and I never allowed for people to show me they loved me. There's probably thousands of people in the world that wanted to show me they love me, and I closed them out because I was like, oh, like so. Yep.
I I disagree with you and agree with you what you just said, and we got to talk about this in the podcast because it goes deeper than just you believing worthiness. It goes to a whole bunch of other things that I'll just give you the summation, but I really want to talk to you about this in the podcast in great detail. It goes to many factors of the way we were raised and what
Mm,
we weren't raised with.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
So I don't want you or anybody listening to this thinking that it's your fault that the way you act in relationships, the way you chase people, or the boundaries you don't have is not your fault. There's
It is mine to some extent because, and we'll talk about this in the podcast, but I do want to share that what I always try to do, listen, when I'm young and I'm growing up, and it does have to do with my upbringing, with the
correct,
surroundings that I've had. You know,
correct.
everybody knows that my dad raised me and my sister. I had my grandmother, my aunt, as my mother. My mother was doing her opera career, which is a whole different baby, which I talk about in my unconditional love presentation. But at some point, I'm 63 now. So at some point, I had to take responsibility for and become aware and acknowledge why I wasn't getting what I wanted, why I wasn't getting what I wanted.
I don't disagree with you, but I want to stop you there and say to you, in order to get to that consciousness, you had to learn certain things. That's what I want to talk about in one of the podcasts or multiple podcasts is how you get there. And how do you get to that belief structure of I am worthy? It just doesn't pop into your head. It's a sequence of and series of events, situations, people. And we as a society, there's one of my guides is Native American. And in the Native American community, when they had a community and they were healthy before we came into this country, the English, the Spanish, and decided to destroy the Native American community. There were built inherently in the Native American community was women's wisdom.
Mm.
And women's wisdom was women getting together, talking not only amongst their own peers, but teaching their daughters important lessons and having conversations about relationships, about the way things are handled. And not only that, but how to cure food, how to prepare a bison carcass. My point being is some of that stuff is not relevant today. I know that.
Okay.
But,
But
but
we always go where we got to go.
right. But my point is there was there was a wisdom that was passed on to the younger generations. We don't have that today. We don't have that communal conversations that are taking place actively to help our daughters be the best that they can be and understand evolution of age, just growing up, what you can expect in your 20s, what you can expect in your 30s, what do you expect in your 40s, how to teach our children about relationships, about certain personalities. How do you deal with things? We're too busy being busy.
Yeah.
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 And let's be quite blunt here. It's the female who's the intuitive, who's is the most connected, who is able to use both sides of their brain. With that being said, the reason that we can do that is because we uphold our family. We uphold society. We're the ones that keep out everything glued for the most part. Men are hunter and gatherers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But let's be real.
Mm.
Throughout the centuries, multiple centuries, men have gone off to war and women were left behind to create the communities, to create the families, to create the society and towns that we have lived in.
Yeah.
And that connection, that dynamic allowed certain wisdom to be transferred from adult to a younger female. And
I
that's
wanna,
part of what I
oh,
want to do in our podcast. I want to spend quite a lot of time talking about, we talked about survivorship and how did we get to where we are? Where did we get our wisdom from? Where did we get our knowledge? And I've been through a tremendous, and you know this, and I don't want to get into that today. I want to talk about it in the podcast, but I've been through a tremendous amount of everything in life, from health issues to financial to family to relationships, that I've learned a lot. I've not shared a lot, but spirit shared a lot with me and have taught me so I can teach my clients through everything I've been through. So as a medium, it's not only my insightful from spirit telling me all this, it's also them putting the pieces together to show me what I went through in order to share to help somebody else. So I also bring through wisdom and enlightenment and insight, which we don't have today.
hmm.
I just did a reading yesterday, and the woman said to me, I didn't expect you to give me a reading that was spiritual, that was therapeutic, and you were like a psychologist, all wrapped up into one. At the end of this reading, I feel 1,000% better because you helped me with my relationship, you helped me with my children, you helped me with my career, you gave me business advice, all of which I now can feel stronger, healthier, and more confident that I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, like, when you do you, and you answer this, so that's why I was like, I was I was starting to ask you and then let you continue to talk. Is like, when you do a reading, like it's a moment in time. It's almost like, time has stopped. I'll never forget when I was in Wanacue Reserve. I was a lifestyle director over there, and what a blessing that was. And Radburn's a blessing. I'm very fortunate to have worked in both these places. When I was in Wanacue Reserve, there was a woman named Gloria. She was very angelic. And one time she started to talk to me, and everything stopped around me, Teresa. I'm telling you, it was like in the movies when things just stop, and she relayed a message to me, and I heard her. Like, I'm like, wow. I'm like it was just incredible. So these moments that you have doing readings for people, it's almost the same thing. Like you're passing on a message to them, really important, from their families. So tap into like that a little bit about, um, you know, I know this, but when you're in the moment doing a reading for somebody, like, how do they come through? Like, who comes through? Like, can you tap into anybody they want, or do you just, who's coming to you?
It's funny you should say that. I've kind of coined the phrase. It's not dial a spirit. When you come for a reading, I connect to the other side, and I have a specific process that I do that with. And only those pretty much who are in love and light and are related to you in some form, whether it's a family member, a friend, or an associate, or an animal, are allowed to come through. I definitely have protective barriers on the other side, because there are a lot of malevolent spirits that are floating the universe. When they come through, I am truly blessed to have many gifts. I'm not just a psychic medium. I'm also a clairvoyant. I can see them more often than not as clearly as I see you, in physical body, because they'll take a physical body with me. I can also telepathically, they send me messages, so I can take a message and look at it and say, this is what they've said to me, because I hear them as well. I'm clairaudient. And a lot of the times too, it's like watching a TV show. They'll give me a remote and I can fast forward, I can reverse, I can pause in order to, excuse me, take the situation, look at it, and then present it to you. So, and then I'm also an empath. I can feel, because I'm a medical intuitive, I can feel what's going on in your body. Over the years, I've saved quite a few people because I've been able to I don't want to say I'm a doctor. That's not it. But I can smell, I can feel cancer because I've had cancer 3 times already. So I know what it feels like in my body. So when I feel it in my body, and I know it's not my body, it's your body, I'll say to you, hey, why don't you follow through with going to see a doctor? I'll never say to you, it's this.
Yeah, because yeah, because you don't want to give.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I will encourage you to follow through. And there's a few testimonials on my website talking about that. I had one woman, her name is Kathy. I did a reading. She didn't believe at all in mediums. I went to a house party. A friend of her hosted a house party. She was one of the people who got a reading. And I told her that she needed to go to a gastrointestinal doctor. She was only 40 years old, so there was really no reason why she would have gone prior to me telling her. And her father had come through, and I remember this so distinctly. He was so determined to tell me to get her to go to a gastroenterologist that the whole reading was go to gastroenterologist. I mean, he repeated it for 20 minutes, kind of like when you saw Ghost, where Patrick Swayze starts singing
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
Whoopi
yeah, yeah,
Goldberg.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's the same, was the same analogy. So she did. She took his advice. She went to a gastroenterologist. She he recommended a colonoscopy, and lo and behold, she had several cancerous polyps, and she was only 40 that he was able to take out, and they were like 0 to less than 1, that changed her whole life because now she doesn't have cancer. She'll never have cancer because they were all taken out.
Right, 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 right. And you just had to listen to,
You
you
just
know,
I But spirit knows all that. And I can
right.
feel it. So between me feeling it and them telling me, the quality of life, my job in the work that I do is to improve the quality of your life, whether it's through healing, whether it's through conversation, whether it's directing you in a different path or giving you spiritual advice. Um, and sometimes just sharing some of my wisdom because I've been through it.
And you know what, Teresa, I want to tap into something because, you know, people would think that they're going to you and you're going to fix everything. You're not. You're not. You're going to provide them the information that spirit is given to them, and they need to take it and figure out what to do with it.
Exactly.
Because you're not you're not their personal healer. You know what I'm saying? They have to work on it. They have to know, to call the doctor or to reach out to a family member. And the truth is that one of the Mel Robbins podcasts that I'm listening to, you got to have hard conversations with people. Sometimes you don't want to call somebody, but you need to call them for, I don't know why, we don't know why, we don't know when, we don't know, but you need to have that conversation if the spirits are telling Teresa to mention to you that you need to talk to somebody. So you need to follow your inner guidance once the information is provided to you.
Can I just follow up with 2 things? One was her name was Kathy. At the end of when she got rolled out and she was in recovery from, it's just a 15, 20-minute procedure. He said to her, why did you encourage me so much to have this done? Because she pushed for the colonoscopy.
Right, right.
And she told him, I went to a psychic and my dad came through, and she said, he went white. Like he didn't believed her, but the result was her father saved her life.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
On the other side of this, I am human too. So there are readings that I have a hard time delivering because they are tough readings.
Yeah.
It's tough information. It's hard information. I do work with the police, and dealing with missing children, or even I've had clients who are under domestic abuse. I've had 3 clients who didn't take my advice, and their husbands did do exactly what I said they were going to do. So, and giving that reading is very hard. Giving not good information in the sense of, you need to take this step, and I won't outline it entirely that way. I don't get bad information. So let me just put it this way. If something bad's going to happen to you, I'm not going to deliver it to you that way. I'm going to deliver it to you if they allow me, that this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do to avoid it, or this is what you need to do to handle it. Because life is about living,
Yeah.
not avoiding.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hard conversations are like, I never want to say anything bad about anybody. But you know, there are bad people in the world. There's bad people in our families. There's people that Spirit wants me to warn you of, or there's situations they want me to warn you of. And I don't like delivering that. It's uncomfortable for me. But as reason I do the work that I do is to help you. So if I can help you and give you knowledge, then you can take that knowledge and thrive.
I have a question. Could someone that's coming to you set themselves up for what they want to hear? Like, can they talk to their loved ones and ask for specific acknowledgments from you, or or ask not to have you say anything negative? Is that possible to set yourself up like that?
Yes, and I don't do anything negative in the sense of bad information, like you're going to have a car accident and die tomorrow.
Yeah,
Or
no. I don't want anybody to think that I was asking that. My question was, could they set themselves up asking their loved ones to give you a not acknowledgement? Like, I'll give you an example. One time, and I always tell this story. One time, I was driving down the road having an argument with God, saying, "I'm so tired." That was about a guy, of course. And I said, I want to see the I Love Lucy, and I want to hear the Brady Bunch or something from the Brady Bunch. And then I let it go because I was on my way to work. I get to my job, and the truth is, within an hour, someone walks in my office and they hand me, and I said, God, God, this is, if I should do this, you need to let me see I Love Lucy and the Brady Bunch. So I get to work, and I'm sitting at my computer, and a driver walks in and he hands a check to me, and I look at it, and it's an I Love Lucy check. And I'm like cracking up, going, oh my God, like, I forgot that I had asked because I was at work now. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. I get it.
yes, to answer your question, yes, and I'll give you an example. Last week I did a reading for a woman who lost her mom and her son through suicide. There's a lot of suicide, drug addiction, accidental drug overdoses, not accidental drug overdoses. Anyway, she had her mom, her son, her husband, all are very and very sad. And that's when I say it's a hard reading, when I'm bringing forth all those loved ones, and I get to feel the individual's pain because she lost all three of them in a very short time. And she wanted to hear from all of them, but she said, you got to give me specifics, to because she didn't believe her other son bought her the reading as a gift. So I opened up, and the first thing I said to her is, I have a woman here showing me Thelma and Louise driving down like the movie trailer, and she's screaming at me, tell her, Thelma and Louise, Thelma and Louise. So I said to her exactly what I just said to you. The woman starts bawling, crying. And I said, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, me and my mother would call each other Thelma and Louise.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So,
So,
yes,
sometimes you have to be open.
correct.
You can't go into readings closed, because then nothing's going to come through, because we have the capability of blocking information or opening up to ask information, and really setting ourselves up and talking to spirits, because we have the gift to be able to talk to the other side and to talk to our family on the other side. We just have to acknowledge and know that what they say to us to be true.
Right. So the receivership is the kind of the fly in the ointment, so to speak. We can talk. It's getting that information back. That's why it's very hard, because you're personally connected to those loved ones, and that personal emotional connection can be, and often is, the barrier of why you're not getting what I would get, because I am not personally connected.
Right.
So
Right.
I get things clearly, things come quickly, um, and I don't get to choose. And I
Yeah.
say this in the reading as part of my introduction. I don't choose the flow. I don't choose the content. Spirit does. And when you said to me, can they set up what they want to talk about? The answer to that is maybe, because often Spirit sees things differently and wants to give you what they think is the most important for you, whether it's in the present or in the immediate past or upcoming in the future. I won't know, but all I am is the open conduit because they will know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And that's what's important is I do what's right for my client based on what I'm being told and also the feedback from the client. I mean, you can ask me questions and sometimes more often they'll answer, but sometimes they won't. And
Yeah.
I can't force them. They have free will on the other side, just like you have free will here.
Yeah. Well, when you're asking a question, it's a, that may not be an answer to that question.
Correct.
You're asking a question that, you're thinking about and you're pondering on. But the spirits are like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't get that. Like, so there's not an answer to that question.
Correct. But you also brought up a good point that I want to come back and revisit for a second. We often as humans think in human context because we are human. Spirit doesn't think in that human context. So when you asked for a sign, whether it was going to be I Love Lucy, and you mentioned what was the other one? The
The
Brady Bunch?
Brady Bunch.
Right. Spirit came back and did it in a way that was comfortable for them to make it happen.
Right. But the truth is, and not and the truth is that I had to, it's like Wayne Dyer does those pink balloons, right? Balloons that you have to blow it in, you have to say what you want, then you have to let it go and you have to let it up there and it'll come in any way. But if you stand there and you're like, okay, you know, uh, when's it going to happen? It's not happening. It's not happening. You have to allow it to come back into your life when it's time, when it's in their time, because there is no time over there. It's right.
Exactly. I had a client come and she came in really pissed off, super pissed off. And she sat down and I'm talking to her and the next thing you know, her dad steps forward and he's yelling at her and she's pissed off at him. Well, through spirit, he tells me that she gave him a time frame. She went to the park, their favorite park. She sat on their favorite bench. She gave him 15 minutes to show up.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
15
didn't
minutes,
show up
15 minutes
in
her
her
time.
expectation.
Yeah, yeah. But there is no time on the other side. So
Right.
they're like, no.
And she's mad at him and she's screaming at him in the reading and he's screaming back at her. And I'm saying to myself, neither one are getting anywhere. So I had to stop the reading and I had to say to her, there is no time on the other side. You
Yeah,
expected him to meet your expectation. They don't live by our rules. They live by a whole different set of rules.
yeah, yeah. That's so true.
It
That's so
is so true.
So we're at 11:15 and I want to leave people hanging because we have a lot more of this conversation. Can you believe it's been an hour? You and I, there is no time,
There is no time.
but we're going to start a podcast only 2 times a month, even though people will want it more, but to fit it into our schedules, we want to only do 2 times a month. We're going to do it live the way we're doing it now so that whatever comes out is coming out, whether we're right, wrong, or indifferent. You want to share the name, Teresa?
Sure. Sister survivors
Yeah, we came
or
up with,
survivor sisters. We're still, what are we doing? What would you like?
I put Survivor Sisters. Survivor is really the important, well, no, they're both important, but Survivor is really the that we, where we're at, we're got those tubes, whatever you want. That doesn't matter.
Whatever you want.
Survivor Sisters, Sister Survivors. Maybe I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Survivor Sisters, Sister Survivors,
Okay.
and then you could decide. I mean, the world could decide what's the title. But I do want to flow back to give you a few moments to talk about the title of this show, In the Moment. in the moment. What should we do in the moment to stay in the moment so that we're not all over the place?
First thing I would suggest that you do is close your eyes, because we are all too visual and it takes us out of the moment. So if you close your eyes, all you're focused on is your eyes closed. Then take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. That's going to recenter you, and you're actually going to feel your feet, because once you feel your feet, you're going to feel that you're grounded. And then take another 2 or 3 deep breaths with your eyes closed and allow your body to relax. Then slowly opening your eyes, you will be in the moment. It
Mm,
causes you to be in the moment. It's a physical technique that I've been taught from spirit to allow you to be in the moment. The other thing is, I also have taught my clients to flick your fingers out when you're doing that, because then you are releasing anything that doesn't serve you.
mm, mm,
And when you do that, you're also allowing more light in, you're allowing more oxygen in, which is refilling you to rejuvenate. Also
mm.
allows you to be in the moment.
Hmm. Yeah, the other thing is that, you have to find those times when you're in the moment, whether it's when you get up in the morning, whether it's when you go to bed at night, whether when you go to the bathroom at work, honestly, that you're by yourself, you'll be able to, whether you're driving in the car, when like find the time. There's got to be at least 5 minutes a day for you to be able to activate it. And then what I suggest is you do it 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. You find those moments throughout the day,
Or
when you,
you make the moments. I have a friend of mine, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
oh, that's okay.
a friend of mine who is taking care of her father who's 101. She works full time. She has 4 kids. So she has a lot going on. She'll literally take her keys, walk out, go sit in the car, and lock the car.
Yeah,
That's her moment.
yeah, yeah,
She
yeah,
actually
yeah,
makes that
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Whatever way. But
whatever way,
sometimes you have to make it happen.
yeah.
Not just find it, but make it happen.
Yeah, but we do all get in the car once, you know what I'm saying? Like, and don't turn your, don't put your plug
Right.
your phone. If somebody calls you, just 2 seconds for 5 minutes, or you could text them, I'll call you back, and then you find the moments. Or when you go to the bathroom, I do this all the time when I go to, bathroom at work is, it's just my time to regroup and to center myself again. Or, in the mornings, I always do it, like I said before. At night when a night's not a good time for me because I'm exhausted. So it really in the mornings are my best time. When I'm getting in the car, when I'm driving, I find time those are the magical moments for me when I'm driving, because those are the moments when I listen to podcasts and I call Teresa, or I have the choice of what I want to do while I'm in the car. I have the choice.
Well, and
So
I also recommend too, we if you're driving, you do drive, there are people who take subways.
yeah, yeah,
So here's the thing. Anytime you're stopped, so if you're in a car and you're at a light and it's stopped, it's a visual representation. I am stopped. It's a red light. Red is stop. So
yeah,
close your eyes
yeah,
and take a stop with the stop. So
yeah,
if you're on a subway, the other thing is when you come to a stop and the gates open, act like you're going to stop. Close your eyes and take some deep breaths. Allow the physical reality to mirror your personal timeout.
yeah, yeah. That's good advice. So we're gonna end on that note, but we're not done. We're just beginning on the Survivor Sisters, Sister Survivors, whatever, podcast. Woohoo! That we're gonna do, and I can't wait to start, because Teresa and I could really talk for hours on different topics. As you could see today, Teresa's filled with so much information and wisdom from spirit, and she really is a gift to the universe to be
Thank
here
you.
on this earth. You're very welcome, and I
And so
hope
are you with your foundation and all the work that you do. That's why together, hopefully we can share our wisdom, our
our
experiences,
experiences.
and you never know when spirit stops by, to help us help the world, and especially young adolescents who sometimes need a hug and a swift kick in the butt all at
Yeah.
the same time.
Yeah, we'll have to, what was the topic you wanted to do? The I love you one, right? And the other one was, we really should do something about um geared towards young people, you
Oh,
know.
we're gonna do all kinds of. I
Yeah,
got.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm just saying, because that is important just to, you know, share with them. But we have to go because I have to worry about a function I have going on at work, and it's surprise raining outside. Who knew was, but there was not one single, the only thing I was supposed to do was supposed to have like a short thunderstorm this morning, and then it was supposed to clear up. It's still raining out. So I have to worry about a music in the park that I'm supposed, that was supposed to be happening today. So thank you, Teresa. You
Well,
know,
thank you, and I hope our audience enjoyed this mini podcast, so to speak. They can also reach me on my website, which is Teresa St. Francis, or call the office at 201-475-1044. I do house parties, I do private readings, I do empathic readings, I do animal readings, both here and on the other side. Please contact me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. They are on Zoom, and it's no different than you're in my office. I look forward to meeting you, and I hope that you're looking forward to our podcast
and she does special events too.
and special events. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it'd be awesome to have Teresa as a special appearance and a special event, or house parties, you know, like a special surprise house party, the way you're talking about before. So, you know, so everybody can connect to the other side. But we have to go. So thank you so much for joining us today. We always blow our kisses on 3, and we're going to be in touch with the Survivor Sisters, Sister Survivor podcast. Stay tuned, watch for it. It's going to be an incredible journey. Here we go on 3. 1, 2, 3. Bye. Have a blessed day. Have